Ukraine's use of cluster munitions in its war against Russia has been controversial, with troops on the ground saying it has been effective in forcing some Russian retreat. But human rights groups worry about the long-term harm to Ukrainian civilians. Those effects are most clear in Asia, where cluster bombs were heavily used in Southeast Asia in the 1960s. For a decade, the United States dropped more than 2 million tons of cluster munitions on Laos in its battle against communism. These weapons remain dangerous today. Many bombs did not detonate, and they sit in the soil in silence until a civilian comes across them. More than 20,000 people have been killed or maimed since the end of the U.S. campaign, many of them children. The work to clear Laos of cluster bombs has gone on for decades and will take decades more. We have this in-depth report about clearance teams and their dangerous job.
She moves forward step by step, centimeter by centimeter, until the metal detector sounds. Fetmani has found something, a small part of a bomb.
This one isn't dangerous anymore, but we never know what we'll find next.
They are demining 14 hectares of land. The mine detection team has only covered 1/3 of the area so far. A lot can still happen.
Yes, I am afraid. Every step is dangerous, but we do have safety protocols, which we follow closely, so everything should be fine.
But nothing's for sure, so it's important to keep focused and take regular breaks. This area is supposed to become agricultural land, but before it can be farmed, it needs to be safe. Every find is checked by the section commander. That's Fetmani's husband. I do worry about my wife. She is well trained and knows what she's doing, but generally it's difficult to do this job as a couple because it's dangerous for both of us. The mission leader of the aid organization Handicap International constantly reminds them of it. They earn good money, way above the average, and the work never runs out. But this is not something they celebrate. It's sad to see that today bombs are raining down on other countries like Ukraine. What about the civilians? We here in Laos are still suffering from a war that took place many years ago and yet continues to be a danger to our lives. This is what awaits people in today's war zones too. The Indochina conflict wasn't fought in Vietnam only. It also saw communist forces and a US-supported army face off in Laos. Between 1963 and 74, the US dropped more than 2 million tons of munitions on the country, incendiary and cluster bombs, shells and mines. It's estimated that every 4th village in Laos still has unexploded ordnance. This is what they're searching for and finding every day. They mark it with a sandbag. Stepping on it means it will explode. Even heat caused by sunshine can make it go off. Finding one means that there are more. One dropped bomb container contains 600 to 700 explosive devices. This area is hilly, and if the munition is dropped from an altitude that was not high enough, then it doesn't explode. We estimate that 30% of the explosive devices didn't go off and are still here. They are experts. They know when to touch and when not to touch a piece of munition. This mortar shell is being placed in a hole in the ground to minimize shrapnel when it explodes. Detonation is the only way to remove the threat. But first, people in the area are warned to stay away. A blast like that changed Chipor's life. He was 17 when he lost part of his arm. Every year, dozens of people experience a similar fate. Farmers who dig, children who play. They lose arms, legs, sometimes their lives.
อันนั้นมันนะเขาตีมะข้างเนาะเขาตีมะข้าง
We were playing a game when my ball disappeared into the bushes. I didn't find it there, but I found something else. It was round and made of metal. I thought I could play with it too. It was a bomb. Chipor says he became suicidal and thought he'd never find a wife and start a family. But he did. Their 4 children bring them much joy, but also concern.
We constantly worry about the children. I tell them that they have to be very careful when they play, that they can't touch anything. Look at your dad, I say. That could happen to you.
Life with one arm has its challenges, but Chipor meets them. In one of the world's least developed countries, there isn't much opportunity to make a living except in agriculture. Chipor says he's lucky to have one healthy arm he can use to provide for his family. But here, too, he's taking a risk. I do get scared. But before me, another farmer worked this field, and nothing happened to him. So I assume that it's safe, and that there aren't any unexploded bombs here. Many people here in Laos live with the trauma of war. Mine clearance workers like Fetmani and Vanavong are trying to remove that. After a hard day's work, it's dinner time. Today, there's enough food for everyone.
We are home. We are safe. Everyone is okay and we are relieved. But tomorrow is another day and we'll face new dangers. That is our job.
It's been almost 50 years since the war in Laos ended. But in a way, it hasn't. Living here comes with mortal dangers every day.